Hi guys, welcome to this session in Microsoft Excel. In this module, I want to talk to you about naming cells and naming ranges. So first of all, on the screen, I have two examples, but on the left-hand side where I've got this little example, I want to name this cell VAT. So I'm clicking on that cell and then I'm going up to the name box, which is this box here, which actually tells you where you are, B11. When you click in there, you can type a name. So I'm typing VAT and you must press enter on the keyboard, which I've just done. That's as simple as that. That's how you name a cell. Now to use that, the good thing about naming cells is you can refer to that name anywhere in this file, not just on this sheet, but I will do it on this sheet first off. So it's basically going to be equals this cell, D3, times, and then you type the word VAT. And when you type the word VAT, you can see that if the computer recognizes it, it changes color and you get this little spreadsheet icon underneath it, which is good. That means it recognizes it. So I'm just going to tick that. And then 48 pence is correct. I'm going to pull that down. I don't need dollar signs because by naming it, you've basically made it absolute. I do need to widen the column though. You have made it absolute. Each of these are looking at VAT. That's so. Now, I said you could use it anywhere in the sheet. So if I type equals VAT anywhere, that will pull it through. It hasn't formatted it because it's not a non-formatted cell, but you can simply do that yourself. If I go into a different sheet and say I want to know what the VAT on this figure is, equals, click on the figure yourself, do times, type VAT, click the tick or press enter, whichever you like to do. So I'm going to click the tick and it works it out, even though the VAT cell is on a different sheet. A second use of a named cell is a navigational use. If I go back into the name box, having already named it, and type VAT, when I press enter, that will just take me back to where it was, which is quite useful to do if you're working on Office 365 and you've got multiple users sharing a file. Sometimes when you open it, it's not on the sheet that you want to be and you've got to go through all the tabs to get back to where you need to be. What you could do is just simply type your name in a blank cell, which I've done on this one. So if I type my name, when I press enter, it just takes me down there. That's where my stuff is, or whatever sheet that's on. And then I can come back up to VAT. So you can use it to jump around your spreadsheets if you've got a large spreadsheet, that is. So let's come back up to VAT. Now, there are a few things that can go wrong when you're naming cells, or you can do user error if you like. So if I click on it again, one of them is you go up to name it, you start typing, you do a space, and then you type, you press enter. You can't have spaces. So you just need to do a word. If you want a space, like a little phrase, you have to do it like this with, if I come down and show you this, like a little underscore, or I would prefer to do like take home as capitalizing each first letter I just think that looks better. I'm not a fan of underscoring anything. Another mistake you might make is you click on the cell, you start typing because you forgot to click up there. So that is just an undo. When you see that mistake, you can undo it. Now the worst mistake in terms of what you have to do to fix it is if you accidentally named the wrong cell. Say you should have named A11 VAT. You cannot just click into A11 and go up there and type VAT, because when you press enter, it just does the name bit. It just does the navigational jump and goes there. So you might think, okay, I'll click on that and I'll go up there and I'll press delete and press enter. Job's a good one, or not, because that doesn't delete it either. You can only put it on through there. You can't actually get rid of it through there. If you need to get rid of it or repoint it, you have to go up to formulas and into where it says name manager and find it in there. So it's down the bottom here, VAT. Change it to A11 and click the tick. And I'm not going to change that because it's not wrong, but that's what you would have to do. Now, while I'm in this box, you can see I've got these names here that aren't referring to a cell. And I'm going to just show you how to do that. So you can click on new name. I'll call it rate 6. I won't do a space, just rate 6. And I don't want it to refer to that cell. I just want it to be equals 0.6. That's all I want that to do. clicking OK to that, closing this box down, and then if I type 100 here, come down a bit and then go equals that 100 times, and then start typing rate, you'll see all the rates coming up, and then rate 6, tick, and there's 60% of that. Now I'm going to get rid of that. Now this little green table takes it a step further. This is naming ranges or lists. So in this example, if I highlight all these 40s, they're called, as a list, they're called hours. And then overtime is called overtime, like so. So basically each of these columns are named as per their title. Now if I click into L3 for a minute, once you've used names like this, you can do formulas like you can see there. So hours plus overtime in English, do that first and then times the result by the rate. And that's coming up with this figure. So if I was using Excel cell references, it would look like that. H3 plus I3 times J3. You would have to go and look at what each of those was. By naming it, you negate the need to do that. And also it makes it a bit more user friendly. For example, if you've got somebody, a colleague who is not IT literate, they are never going to look at a formula like that and say you need to put J66 in there, because they wouldn't understand Excel. But if they looked at that, a named formula, they might say, well, you haven't got bonus in there, because hopefully they would know their job, and you can see the difference there. So that's why I like to use names. Now the way it works is, as long as Excel can see the name for that particular row, it will pull the figures off for that particular row. Now I did not highlight each of these individual columns of data and type in that box like I did for the VAT one. What I did was I highlighted the whole table like that, and I'm still on the formulas tab, and I went to this option here, create from selection. I clicked on that and it's asking me, do you want to use the top row labels to name the columns? Yes, I do. And also, do you want to use the left column labels to name the rows? Yes, I do. And if I click OK to that and then highlight that top row, for example, that will be named Stephen underscore Saxton, which is what that is there, which is what I wanted. And this figure here is the intersection between Stephen Saxton and take home. And to do a quick lookup, you can then type stuff like this. If I come down here, this is showing me the same figure, look, as that one. All I've typed there is equals Stephen underscore Saxton space, a little space, and then take home, and then that's giving me that intersection between those two, that row and that column. So you can do like a little lookup. Now what I'm going to do now on the next sheet is go through that and create an example so you can have a little play. What I want to do is to name all of these columns as per the label. So I'm highlighting from B2 down to F14. I'm not coming down into the total row. That's where I am. I'm going to create from selection because I'm still on the formulas tab. And this time it's only coming up with the top row option, which is OK. Clicking OK to that. Then, as always in Excel, you have to check that that's done that OK. So I'm highlighting all the blue and I'm expecting it to say duration, which it does. So now I can use those names. So this is what I'm going to type. These are courses, duration in days, cost per day. So the formula there is going to be this, equals. I'm going to start typing duration and then stop for a second, because as you type that, you're going to get a list of options coming up. Your top option, or the top option, is duration with a little spreadsheet. That's what I want. If it's at the top, the name, you can just double click on it or tab to it. I'm going to press my tab key. The others, FXs, are functions. I don't want them. So I'm pressing tab and it puts the name in there for me. Then I'm doing times cost. I'm just going to type cost. I don't need to tab to it. It's the only option. And then I'm going to tick that. And then watch what happens. The formula spills down the whole range that it can see, in this case, duration and cost, right down to the bottom. Now, the next bit, I want to know what the VAT is on that figure. Now, the VAT, if I go equals, I'll type sub again, sub, pressing tab, times VAT. Now, VAT is on a different sheet, as I said. You can refer to it from any sheet. So I'm just going to tab onto that and then tick that, and then that will fill it down because the VAT is on that other sheet and I've named it already. Now last but not least, I want to add these two together, so it's going to be equals sub, pressing tab to get that because it's at the top of the list, plus VAT amount. Now VAT amount is not at the top of the list, but I can use my arrow key to come down to it, or you can double click on it, pressing tab to put that in there, and then ticking that, and it will spill it down. I need to widen the column at the top, and that's it. Now some people were thinking, well, it's easier to just go, B3 times C3 and stuff like that. Yes, it is, but you're doing this to make it a bit more user friendly. Now what you get here, these are called array formulas, and if you notice, if I click on one of these, it's slightly grayed out on the formula bar, and if I press my delete key, I can't actually delete that because it's part of an entity. The whole thing is triggered from the top line. If I wanted to enter that, you would have to edit this up here. Now I'm also going to make this go wrong by putting an S on that VATs. Let's see what happens here. I've got this name coming up because I didn't name it VATs, I named it VAT. So if you see name, don't just press delete straight away. Have a look, because it might just be a typo, or you might not have pressed enter when you named it. So I'm now going to get rid of that S because that is a typo, and then I'll just tick that and it should correct everything, which it does. Now one other thing I want to do, because sometimes you get what's called a spill error. If I just delete this for a second and then type my name like that, and I'm also going to do a blank space, a couple of blank spaces on this cell here. Now this is what's going to happen when I do that formula again. So it's equals sub, pressing tab to get subtotal, plus VAT amount, coming down to it, pressing tab. So that's the correct formula, but when I tick that, it's going to come up with a spill error because it can't spill the formula down because that is in the way. So if you see spill and you're expecting it to spill down or across, there must be something in the way, and there is. You need to go and have a look and then delete that. It's still spilling, so even though I can't see anything, I would just highlight the space because there is a blank space there, and pressing delete, and then it will clear it off and spill it down. So that's basically what the spill error means. There's something in the way, and I'm wanting to, or the computer's wanting to spill down. So that's all I want to talk about in this little video, how you can use named cells for formulas or navigation, and also how you can use name ranges to get yourself around a spreadsheet and make it a little more easy, user friendly for novices to use, and also yourself. I think it's easier to pick up the logic on a spreadsheet if you've used names and not looked at it for a while than it is if you've just used cell references. But that's up to you. So hopefully this video was of use. Thank you for your time, and I'll catch you on the next one.